So greetings everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well out there today, which brings us to this topic of self-care, self-love. This is something that has been heavy on my mind as of recent, and how important it is to have or to create that space where you can love oneself and take care of oneself. We don't realize how important it is, although on a subconscious level I guess we do know how important it is, but because of the way that life has been set up for many, it doesn't allow self-care, or it doesn't encourage it as much. It's kind of a thing where you fit it in where you can, and you create that reality for yourself however you can, with whatever else you have going on in your life. So it's not really a complicated topic. That's a train. So this message is for whomever it resonates with. If you feel like it resonates with you, if you feel as though it's speaking to you, it doesn't have to be right now. It could be sometime later on in the future, wherever it's at. It doesn't really matter. But the whole point is that we talk about how important it is, self-love and self-care, but still people don't take it into account. And I think we kind of get confused with what that actually means. I think for many it can mean many different things, and it can be a good or a bad thing depending on what self-care means to one person, right? So it could mean that you are, just taking the time to take a holiday, take a break. And in actuality, we can look at what is the purpose of that? Yes, take a holiday, take a break, but do you actually really get a break? And is that break long enough for you to really feel like you've taken a moment to take care of yourself? Even with holidays, it can be rushed. Most things in society as we have known it, it's all about moving fast and fitting in whatever we can fit in. And at least we've made room, we've had a holiday, but really what's the purpose of taking a holiday? I think for me personally, it would be to really wind down, to clear my mind, and to analyze my life. What needs changing, what needs shifting, what I need to let go of, where I need to move forward, what do I need to do to enhance my life if I feel it's not where it needs to be or where I need to be. So, you know, just a moment not only to just relax and wind down, but also a moment to reflect and just to, you know, tap in with oneself and to see if, you know, where your life is, where you are in your journey, is it still fitting? Is it still where I feel like I need to be? Or does something need to change? Do I need to change? The environment that I'm in, is it suitable for where I want to be, where I'm going? Or what is it that I could change, or what needs to change, whatever the case may be. So that's just one aspect, yeah, of self-care, self-love. And then you have, and that's really touching the surface of having a deeper introspection into one's journey, right? It sparks that, it creates the opportunity for you to dig deeper, for you to dive in and to look further into yourself, right? And you just have, you know, self-care where you're just kind of like, what in people's minds seems like it's self-care because, or self-love, which is self-serving in a sense, you could say, where you may be just using intimacy like sex and, or, you know, just constant partying, drinking, and, you know, all these things as a way to please the physical, right? And there's nothing wrong with those things that I just mentioned. It's more so, is it balanced? Is it in alignment with where you are? Is it allowing you to be the best person or best version of yourself that you could be? You see that? And you know, so you have to look at that. You have to look at that. And just going back to the first example that I gave, like that, moments like that, on that level of self-care, self-awareness, should I say self-love, gives you the opportunity to look at things like that. So if that is your experience, yeah, if that is your personal experience, it allows you to look at things like that. And not necessarily having to take a holiday, it's just taking a moment to really reflect, you know, where you are in your journey, who you are, and where it is that you want to be. And are you where you want to be? So I think that yeah, and I think for some that just don't have any idea whether they're coming or going, or just even having a level of understanding of oneself or where they are in their journey, I think that, you know, when you're feeling like slightly confused or overwhelmed, there's no clarity, there's no guidance, you're in, you know, in that mode, like fear mode or survival mode, and you just have no clue, and you just feel like you know, your life is just sort of crashing and you or spiraling out of control, and you just don't know where to go or what to do. And in that moment, I think that, you know, prayer and meditation would be my go-to. And you know, just being out in nature, like touching some grass, like spend a couple of hours, even a couple of minutes. But I'm learning that the more that you align with nature, the more that you feel this sense of calmness, peace, healing, and just knowing that everything's gonna be okay. You know, not worrying or just being in a state of fear or whatever the case may be. You know, we don't know, we don't realize how powerful it is to connect with nature, you know. And I'm sure, you know, a few people have seen a few videos going around of this young lady, and I found a guy as well, who were communicating with the trees, and the trees would communicate back to them by following their instructions, right? So there's so much that we don't know about the world, the universe that we live in, even ourselves to some degree. And how is it that you would take the time to do that? Where would you find that space to do that? And you can sit here, you can sit and you can say, you know, oh, you know, when you get a break, when you've saved enough money, you know, to take a long break, or retired, or whatever the case may be, you'll have plenty of time to mull over all of that. But what if just in that moment you are able to come into a certain knowing that will allow you to even create that reality for yourself, even in that moment? You don't have to wait, you know, 10, 15 years down the line or whatever. It's something that you can create in your reality from the moment you start to think and focus on it, to be honest with you. And focus is very important when you are trying to create, when you are creating the reality that you're choosing for us, that we choose for ourselves, right? So I just wanted to make this video in regards to self-care, self-love. I know there's a lot of people that may be going through a lot at this present time, and you know, I would just personally, for me, this is what I do. I, you know, speak to the Most High, ask the Most High to guide me and to protect me, and to give I and I clarity about what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, what's happening, where do I need to, you know, ask for clarity on that. For me lately, I have just been sort of gravitating towards nature a lot, and that has really been helping me to balance, my energy, to give me more insight and introspection into the journey of life as I know it right now, right in this moment. And so, just looking at my experience and the people that are in my experience or around my experience, surrounding my experience, and just to be an inspiration in this moment, not only as a reminder for myself, because ultimately when I create, it's to remind myself first of what's important and, where the focus needs to be, so, and in that I want to be able to inspire others, to find balance, to find peace, even with whatever the case or circumstances may be. To pray about it, to prayer and meditation, to find a routine to where you allow that to be a part of your reality, because in that, allowing yourself to meditate allows you, and prayer allows for us to connect with the divine source of our lives, of who we are. And as we do that, we're able to, it becomes more easier, accessible to the knowledge and the wisdom that will allow us to move forward and give us the instructions on how to move forward. And so that's why I say that, prayer and meditation is a big thing. And I think that once you make that a part of like your daily routine, just getting up early in the morning or whenever the case may be for you, I think the best time is really early in the morning, because as many people say, it does set the tone, and I feel like that I have experienced that as well. It does set the tone for how the day goes, how the day will progress, and ultimately the days that you have where things don't seem so bad or challenging or overwhelming, and you have more of those days, you are basically creating the reality for yourself through those days when you are able to create that reality, just taking it day by day. So you introducing prayer and meditation, just even for an hour or even less than that, 15 minutes, 20 minutes for the day or whatever, can change your whole reality, right? You'll start to see, have access to information just being presented to you. You'll be more clairvoyant, clairaudient, and things like that. You don't have to necessarily go searching for information or even the questions. And sometimes the information just pops up, either in your mind, or just in your reality in general. So I really wanted to make this video because, you know, something that has literally been on my heart and experience requires for me to step up and be an inspiration, be a pillar of strength, of guidance as well. Of clarity, you know, and I'm saying what I personally do to help myself to stay focused as often and as much as is possible for me to, and I'm saying it works for me, so I'm sharing my experience. You know, I wouldn't been able to come on here today, although I didn't really feel 100% like I wanted to, but it been on my mind, and I was like, you know, I can't wait for the perfect moment. Let me just do the best that I can with what I have and just create a video, because, you know, I want to bring positivity and upliftment to where life can or has been challenging, and, you know, in some regards you're not able to see, you know, light, you know, in the darkness. And so I want to be, you know, a source of light for those people that may feel, you know, stuck or need some kind of inspiration. So yeah, self-love, self-care, no matter what it is that you are experiencing, no matter what it is that we go through or we experience, or whatever the case may be it good or bad, or, you know, it's overwhelming, just know it's really important to take a moment to give yourself that time. So important. I cannot really stress, as I'm speaking about it now, it just flashing in my head how important self-love and self-care, self-awareness is, and how important it is to make that time to be able to create that space to where you can give that to yourself, right? Each one of us, right? To bring change and to create this reality, to live in peace and harmony, or to be at peace with whatever the circumstances or situation may be, right? And just knowing that, and I just want to leave it here, is to know that nothing is impossible. And, you know, sometimes opportunities or situations occur, or whatever the case may be, because something has to change. And, you know, sometimes we refuse change. Like, we're just so used to doing things the way that we're used to doing things, but sometimes life will push you and encourage you to make changes. And if you ignore that long enough, and if you ignore yourself long enough, you know, life will force you to make those changes. And so that's something that I had to learn, you know, the hard way. But it's never the end. It's never something that you see an end to. It's only change, an opportunity to change, right? and to be who we are designed and created to be. Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else I have to say. If there is, I will come back and make probably a second part, or I'll just add to this at some point. But I just want to thank you all for listening, and I hope this has touched someone, and give you a sense of, encouragement and inspiration, and to let you know that, nothing is impossible. And even maybe where you are right now, may seem like that's it, don't give up. It's just an opportunity to create change. And just take that moment to really listen, to spend time in nature. Nature is very powerful, and she's very alive and ready to support us and to, making changes and to become our greater selves and to heal. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for listening, and just really take care of yourselves. It's important that we take care of ourselves, right? So that we're able to be strong enough to take care of those that are dependent on us, and and to also provide that much needed guidance and support and strength, right? So yeah, it is really important. And I just want to say, in addition to just being out in nature, I think it's also important to have a well-balanced, just lifestyle all around, from the food that we eat, from the environments that we place ourselves in, how often it is we place ourselves in these spaces, the people we're around, the relationships, and your work, business, whatever the case may be, does it align? So I'm tuning out because it's starting to rain now. So I just want to thank you for listening, and you'll see me soon. Take care.